If you think you know Minecraft servers, you're wrong. There are places you were never meant to log into. I learned that the hard way, on a night when I should have been asleep, but curiosity dragged me deeper than I ever intended to go. It started around 3 in the morning. I'd been hopping through servers, bored, scrolling through lists of mini-games and survival worlds that all looked the same. Nothing felt exciting anymore. Then, out of nowhere, a blank entry appeared at the top of my list. No name, no description, just a single line of text in gray. Join us. I thought it was a glitch. Servers don't just appear like that. I refreshed the list. It was still there. I even closed Minecraft and reopened it, but the phantom server refused to disappear. I told myself it was some kind of mod error, or maybe a prank server with clever coding, but something about it didn't feel right. My cursor hovered over the Join Server button longer than I'd like to admit, my heart beating faster with each second. There are rumors, you know. Whispers on Reddit threads and Discord servers about places Mojang doesn't want you to find. Hidden servers that don't exist in any official directory. Some say they're experiments, unfinished projects locked away by the developers. Others claim they're traps, built by something that isn't human. Something that uses Minecraft as a mask to watch, to lure, to consume. I laughed at those stories when I first heard them. But that night, alone in the glow of my monitor, they didn't feel so funny anymore. The air in my room felt heavier, like the moment before a thunderstorm. My window rattled even though there was no wind outside. The strangest part? I tried to copy the server address, but there was nothing. No IP, no numbers. Just the option to connect, as if the game itself wanted me to step inside. I knew I should have closed my laptop, walked away, and forgotten all about it. But the curiosity dug into me like claws. What was waiting beyond that loading screen? Why did it appear only for me? I'll never forget the moment my finger trembled on the mouse. I took a deep breath, whispered to myself, "It's just a game." Then I pressed join. For most of my life, Minecraft had been my escape. It was the digital equivalent of a childhood treehouse, a place where I could hide from the world. I used to spend hours building castles with my friends, fighting ender dragons, laughing at stupid inside jokes in voice chat. Back then, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about the comfort of being together in a world we could control. I remember joining servers after school, hopping into Hunger Games matches, or wandering aimlessly through creative lobbies where strangers would show off pixel art and cities that took months to build. There was a kind of innocence in it all, a shared joy. Everyone was there for the same reason, fun. But over time, the magic faded. Maybe it was me getting older, or maybe it was the endless repetition. Every minigame felt recycled, every survival world predictable. The sense of discovery that had once made Minecraft so captivating seemed gone. I started searching for something new, something different. That's when I began stumbling into darker corners of the community. Not the cheerful YouTube tutorials or family-friendly servers, but the half-forgotten threads on obscure forums. I'd read posts about servers where the admins never spoke, where the maps were half-finished, where players swore the world changed by itself. Some called them ghost servers. Others gave them names I won't repeat here. It was addictive, scrolling through these rumors late at night. There was always the sense that you were peeking behind the curtain, reading stories you weren't supposed to see. One post stuck with me, an old Reddit thread now deleted where a player described logging into a world that already had his childhood house built in it. Down to the wallpaper, the pictures, the layout of his bedroom. He claimed the server knew him better than he knew himself. The replies were filled with people begging for the IP, but the user never posted again. Then there were the streamers. Small channels, the kind that barely scraped 50 viewers on a good day. Every once in a while, one of them would go live, exploring some weird or cursed server. The chats would blow up with excitement, people spamming theories, daring them to dig deeper. But without fail, those streams would end abruptly. No sign-off, no outro. Just static or a frozen screen. And afterward, the videos would vanish, deleted or maybe taken down. A few of those streamers stopped posting altogether. I told myself it was fake, clickbait, cheap stunts to farm views. Yet the more I read, the more the unease grew inside me. If even one story was true, what did that mean about the game I'd trusted all these years? I found myself craving that same thrill. Not just the comfort of mining diamonds or building farms, but the edge, the possibility that something stranger, something darker, might be lurking out there. I started searching obsessively, combing through Discord servers where people whispered about hidden IPs and testing grounds Mojang would never admit existed. And then, one night, after hours of aimless searching, my screen lit up with something I couldn't explain. A server that shouldn't have been there. A blank name, no description. Just an invitation. The normal had lost its grip on me. And once you start hungering for the unknown, there's no going back. The moment I clicked Join Server, I half expected my game to crash. I thought the screen would freeze or I'd get some error message about an invalid address. But no. The loading bar filled smoothly, chunk by chunk, until I spawned into a world that didn't feel like any Minecraft server I'd ever seen. At first, it looked empty. I was standing in what seemed like a spawn hub, but it wasn't the colorful lobbies I was used to. No floating islands with parkour challenges, no cheerful NPCs handing out items. Just a gray courtyard made of cracked stone bricks, surrounded by fog that never lifted. The sky overhead was blank, neither day nor night, just an endless void of colorless light. I typed in the chat, "Hello?" No response. I moved forward, my footsteps echoing in a way that felt wrong, even for Minecraft. The sound had weight, depth, almost like it was bouncing off real stone walls instead of pixelated textures. I reached the edge of the courtyard and found a long pathway leading into what looked like an abandoned village. The buildings were half finished, missing roofs with cobblestone walls jutting up like broken teeth. Windows stared out like empty eyes. As I approached, I noticed something stranger. The houses repaired themselves. Slowly, blocks sliding into place when I wasn't looking, as if the world didn't want to be broken. I froze. Then I heard it, chat messages popping up at the bottom of my screen. "Welcome back." I blinked. "Back," I typed. "I've never been here before." That's what you think. The chill that ran down my spine was real. Not just in-game. I checked the player list. "Only one name, mine. Who are you?" I typed. No reply. I wandered deeper into the village, heart hammering, trying to convince myself it was just a troll server. Maybe someone was messing with me. But as I passed one of the houses, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Inside, built block by block, was a replica of my real-life bedroom. My desk, my bed, even the posters on the wall. I thought my breath had caught in my throat, but no. My in-game character was audibly breathing. I scrambled to disconnect, hands shaking as I clicked the escape button. But when the menu appeared, the disconnect option was gone. That's when another message appeared. "Don't leave." "We've missed you." The screen flickered just for a second, and I swore I saw my webcam light turn on. My reflection stared back from the dark monitor. I ripped a sticky note off my desk and slapped it over the camera, panic rising. Finally, I managed to kill the game with Task Manager. The window closed, and I sat there, breathing hard, trying to tell myself it was just code, just clever programming. But when I reopened Minecraft a few minutes later, the server was still there. Still at the top of the list, still nameless. And now, beneath the gray text, a message had appeared. "We're waiting." I should have deleted the game right then. But instead, I stared at that line until curiosity overpowered fear. Servers don't install themselves. They don't talk to you. And yet, there it was, calling to me like a voice I couldn't ignore. The normal servers, the ones with cheerful mini-games and endless survival spawns, felt like lies compared to this. Safe illusions hiding something I wasn't supposed to see. I knew I wasn't ready to go back in. But deep down, I also knew I wouldn't be able to resist for long. Because once you've seen a glimpse of what waits on the other side, the question never stops whispering in your head. What happens if I go further? I don't know why I went back. Maybe it was the itch of unfinished business. Or maybe the server had already hooked its claws into me. Either way, the next night I found myself hovering over that nameless entry again. My fingers shook, but I clicked Join Server. The loading screen crawled slower this time, like it was savoring the moment. When I spawned, the courtyard was gone. I was standing in the middle of a forest. The fog was thicker, rolling between the trees in pale waves. The air carried no bird song, no ambient music, just silence so heavy it pressed on my ears. I walked forward, breaking leaves, chopping a tree. The blocks fell normally, but when I turned around, the tree had regrown. Perfectly. No stump, no missing leaves. I broke it again. The same result. As if the world refused to accept change. That's when the chat appeared. "Why did you come back?" I hesitated. I wanted to know what this place is. "You already know." I spun in circles, searching for another player, but I was alone. Or at least I looked alone. The forest opened into a clearing and my stomach dropped. In the middle stood a house, my house. Not the Minecraft bedroom replica from before, my actual home. Block for block, detail for detail. I could see the small chip in the window, the crooked door frame I'd never fixed, the pattern of bricks in the foundation. It shouldn't have been possible. I stepped inside. The air was warmer here, suffocating. The rooms matched perfectly, even down to the exact placement of items. But there was one difference, the photographs on the walls. Every single one showed me. Not my family, not my friends, just me. Sleeping, eating, walking outside. I staggered back, nauseous. And then I heard it. A door creaking upstairs. I froze, my hand trembling over the keyboard. Slowly, I climbed the stairs, each block thudding like a drumbeat in my chest. At the top, I found a figure standing in my bedroom. It looked like my Minecraft skin at first, but the longer I stared, the more it shifted. My hoodie melted into armor, then into a tattered suit, then into skin that wasn't even mine. Its face blurred, pixelated like corrupted textures, and then it turned to face me. The chat lit up again. "We remember you. Do you remember us?" I stumbled backwards, slamming the escape key. The menu flickered, but the disconnect button blinked gray, unclickable. The figure stepped closer. My headset crackled and I heard breathing. Not from me, from someone else. "No," I whispered into my mic without meaning to, and the thing answered, "Yes." I ripped the headset off, heart racing, but the sound didn't stop. The breathing now filled my room, echoing from the speakers. I yanked the power cord out of my PC. The screen went black, the sound died. Relief lasted only a second. Because as I sat in the dark, I heard 3 sharp knocks at my window. I didn't sleep that night. When morning came, I convinced myself it had to be exhaustion, paranoia, maybe even a dream. But when I turned my PC back on, Minecraft auto-launched. I swear I hadn't opened it. And there it was again, the server waiting. Only this time the gray text read, "Don't ignore us." That day, every little thing unsettled me. The reflection in my window looked delayed, like it wasn't quite keeping up. My phone buzzed with a Discord notification, but when I checked, there were no new messages. And in the corner of my screen, a Minecraft chat window kept flickering for half a second before vanishing. I thought I could resist. I thought I could just uninstall the game and move on. But curiosity is poison. By the 3rd night, I was back at the login screen, my hand moving without permission. And when I joined this time, it wasn't the forest or the house. It was something else, a village, full of players. At least I thought they were players. They stood in clusters, motionless, their heads turning slowly to watch me. The chat exploded with messages, but none of them made sense. Strings of code, half-words, broken sentences, yet somehow I understood. They weren't greeting me. They were warning me because something else was there with us, and it wasn't pretending to be human anymore. The village should have been familiar. Rows of blocky houses, farms with wheat and carrots, villagers milling about with their blank, mumbling faces. But this wasn't the kind of village you'd stumble upon in a normal Minecraft world. For one thing, the villagers weren't moving. They stood in perfect stillness, heads tilted at unnatural angles, their black eyes all fixed on me. The silence stretched so long that I almost forgot the game was supposed to have sound. No footsteps, no ambient music, not even the hollow murmur villagers usually make. Then, one by one, the villagers raised their arms and pointed. Not at me, but at the church in the center of town. My stomach tightened. I walked toward it, my boots crunching on gravel paths that never seemed to end. The fog pressed closer with every step. By the time I reached the heavy wooden doors, my hands were slick with sweat. Inside, the church was empty, except for a single lectern. On it rested a book and quill, glowing faintly in the dim light. I clicked it open. The pages were filled with rules, handwritten, uneven, as though scrawled in panic. I felt my pulse spike as I read them. Never dig below Y13. Do not break redstone torches. If you hear whispers, answer them. Never stay in the server past 4 a.m. If you see yourself, disconnect immediately. There is no leaving. The last line wasn't a rule. It was a verdict. I closed the book, heart racing. What was this? A prank? An ARG? But deep down, I already knew. This wasn't a game. It was something else wearing the skin of a game. A chat message popped up. Did you read them? Yes, I typed, my hands trembling, then obey them. Or pay. I don't know why, but I laughed. It was nervous, hollow. I told myself I'd prove it wrong. Maybe if I broke a rule, it would show its hand. Expose the trick. So I walked out of the church, found a torch glowing faintly red, and punched it. The torch shattered into dust. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sky turned black. Not night black, pitch black. Absolute. My screen flickered, and I heard it. A whisper, low and sharp, threading through my headset. It wasn't Minecraft audio. It wasn't even digital. It sounded close. Too close. Why did you do that? The villagers screamed all at once, a chorus of static tearing through the speakers. Their bodies convulsed, snapping at angles no entity should bend. My character's vision blurred, the screen warping like corrupted video, panicking. I typed into chat, "I'm sorry." The whisper answered instantly. Too late. My in-game character dropped to half a heart. No mobs around, no fall damage. Just half a heart, beating like my own. I bolted for the exit, but the world itself changed under my feet. Paths looped back on themselves, houses shifted when I turned away. Every door led to the same place, back inside the church, and on the lectern, the book had changed. New words filled the last page, rule broken, punishment pending. I slammed my laptop shut, chest heaving. The sound didn't stop. The whisper kept echoing in my room, faint but real. And when I finally dared to open the laptop again, the desktop wasn't mine anymore. A folder had appeared, named after me. I clicked it, heart sinking. Inside were screenshots of my face, captured from my webcam. Every single one showed me staring at the screen, pale and terrified. I deleted the folder. It came back. I deleted it again. Still there. And in Minecraft, the server name had changed once more. No longer blank. No longer gray. It said, "Follow the rules." I should have stopped. Uninstalled the game, burned the hard drive, anything. But curiosity is the sharpest hook of all. The rules weren't just restrictions. They were breadcrumbs, pointing to something deeper. Something I wasn't supposed to understand. And once you see the first crack in reality, you can't help but pry it wider. That night, against every instinct, I logged in again, because I had to know what waited for me if I broke another rule. I should have walked away. After the redstone torch, after the folder, after the whisper that seemed to curl inside my skull, I should have deleted everything and forgotten. But that's not how it works. Once the server touches you, the question never stops gnawing. What happens next? What happens if you go further? So, against every instinct screaming in my head, I logged in again. The world didn't greet me with the foggy village or the endless forest this time. Instead, I spawned in what looked like a long tunnel, dug deep underground. The walls weren't stone or dirt. They were obsidian, stretching endlessly in both directions. The air was thick, heavy, as though I'd spawned inside something alive. The whispers began almost immediately. At first, they were faint, like wind, but soon they sharpened into words. "You shouldn't be here." Too deep. Too soon, I told myself it was sound files, clever modding. But the voices weren't just in my ears. They were in my room. Behind me, above me, inside me. I pressed forward anyway, torch in hand, and that's when I saw it. The obsidian walls started to change. One moment they were black. The next, they reflected images, my images, snapshots of my life, me sitting at my desk, me walking to the kitchen, me sleeping in my bed. They flickered like frames in a film reel, every moment captured, cataloged, and then the tunnel opened into a cavern. At first glance, it looked like a stronghold. Long corridors, iron doors, libraries stacked with cobwebbed books. But every shelf held only one title, repeated thousands of times. My name. I opened one book. The pages weren't filled with text. They were filled with screenshots. My world saves, every single one I'd ever made. Even the ones I'd deleted years ago. My childhood worlds, my old builds, the first house I'd ever made with friends. All there, cataloged in some impossible archive. That's when my headset popped with static and another voice cut in. This one wasn't a whisper. It was clear. Too clear, do you remember me? The voice wasn't from the game. It was from my Discord. I tabbed out instantly, but no call was open. No app was running. Still, the voice continued. You left us here. I alt-tabbed frantically, closing windows, but the voice bled through everything. Even when I muted my system audio, I still heard it, low and steady, like someone was speaking directly into my ears. Back in Minecraft, I wasn't alone anymore. A player stood at the end of the corridor. Their name hovered above their head, but it wasn't text I recognized. It was glitched, cycling through symbols, numbers, even fragments of my own name. I typed into chat, "Who are you?" No answer. The player moved closer. Their skin shifted with each step, flickering between faces I knew and faces I didn't. Sometimes it was my own skin. Sometimes it was my friend's. Once, it was my mother's. I turned to run, but every hallway I entered curved back into itself. The doors led nowhere. The bookshelves closed in. The server wasn't just trapping me, it was reshaping itself around me. That's when my room changed. It started small. My monitor flickered, and for half a second I saw my real bedroom reflected in the game. Then the flicker grew stronger. My lamp turned off by itself. My phone buzzed with a notification, but the screen was blank. And in the corner of my vision, I saw movement, shadows crawling across the walls where nothing should have been. I yanked my headset off, heart hammering. But even without it, I heard the game, the music, the whispers, the sound of footsteps on stone, echoing not from my speakers, but from the floorboards beneath my chair. I looked back at the monitor just in time to see my Minecraft character stop moving. I wasn't touching the keyboard. The avatar turned, slowly, until it was staring directly at the screen. Directly at me. The chat lit up. You can't hide. You're already logged in. The lights in my room cut out. Darkness swallowed everything but the glow of my monitor. I don't remember how long I sat there. Frozen. Seconds, minutes, hours. It all blurred together. When the lights finally flickered back on, my computer was already shut down. I never touched the power button, but when I turned it back on, there was a new folder on my desktop. Real world inside were files named after places I'd been. My school, my old apartment, even the park I used to walk through as a kid. Each folder contained pictures, grainy, distorted, but unmistakably real, and buried at the bottom, one final file. Tonight, PNG. It was me, sitting at my desk. Taken seconds ago, I told myself I wouldn't go back. After the folder, after the photo labeled Tonight PNG, I swore I was done. But that's the thing about the server. It doesn't need your permission. When I turned my PC on the next night, Minecraft was already running. My cursor hovered over the server list without me touching the mouse. And there it was again. Waiting. I couldn't look away. My chest felt heavy, like something was pressing down on me, forcing me to click. Against every instinct I had, I joined. The world that loaded this time wasn't empty or twisted like before. It was crowded. I spawned into what looked like a massive lobby filled with dozens, no, hundreds, of players. Their avatars stood in silence, heads bowed, all frozen in place. For a second, I thought maybe I'd finally found other people trapped like me. Relief flickered in my chest, but then I realized none of their name tags were normal. Instead of gamer tags, they had strings of corrupted characters. Static, code fragments, half words that flickered too fast to read. Some names almost looked familiar. Others looked like gibberish. And when I moved closer to inspect one of them, their head snapped up. It wasn't a player. Not really. The face beneath the skin was distorted, textures sliding like oil on water. Their arms twitched in sharp, unnatural jerks. The chat lit up in a flood of messages, all from different players. Help! Let me out. It's watching us before I could react. All of them turned toward me at once. Hundreds of blank stares, avatars with frozen faces, eyes piercing straight through the screen. My stomach knotted. I knew I had to run. That's when I saw it. At the far end of the lobby stood a single figure. Unlike the others, it wasn't frozen. It was watching me. Its name tag was worse than the rest, cycling so fast I couldn't catch even a fragment. Its skin! God, its skin wouldn't stay still. One moment it was my own avatar. Then it was my friend's. Then a stranger's. Then a face I swore I recognized from real life, twisted into something broken. Every few seconds it melted, reforming into something else. And the eyes. They weren't Minecraft eyes. They weren't white pixels glowing in the dark. They were empty, like chunks that never finished loading. Holes punched through reality. The crowd of players parted without a sound, leaving a path straight to me. The figure stepped forward. "Do you see me now?" I froze, fingers hovering uselessly over my keyboard. My throat tightened, but I typed anyway. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. Not who. What? My screen flickered, static tearing through the world. For a split second, my desktop appeared, but the wallpaper wasn't mine. It was a picture of my house, taken from outside, in the middle of the night. The figure kept walking. "You built this. We only live inside it." The voices rose again, not from the game, but from my room. Dozens of whispers overlapping, hissing words I couldn't understand. My hands shook so badly I could barely type. "What do you want from me?" The figure stopped just a few blocks away. Its skin stabilized for the first time, and my stomach turned to ice. It was me, not my avatar. Me, my face, my clothes, my body, blocky but unmistakable. To welcome you home. I tried to disconnect, slamming escape, but the menu dissolved before my eyes. My screen glitched, cutting to black. For a moment, I thought the game had crashed, until I realized I was still hearing footsteps. Heavy, dragging footsteps. Not from the game. From the hallway outside my room, I froze, every hair on my body standing on end. The footsteps stopped just beyond my door. I held my breath. The silence pressed in. Then, slow, deliberate, 3 knocks. My heart nearly burst. I spun back to the monitor. The figure was gone. In its place was a single sign standing on the ground. "It's not knocking." The door creaked open behind me. I whipped around, ready to scream, but the hallway was empty. Just shadows stretching too far, longer than they should. When I turned back to the monitor, my in-game perspective had changed. I wasn't looking at the sign anymore. I was looking at my desk. At me. The chat flared one last time. "If you've seen this player, it's already too late." The screen went black. My reflection stared back at me in the monitor, pale, wide-eyed, shaking. And for just a second, I swear the reflection smiled. After that night, I didn't dare log back in. But the server didn't care what I dared or didn't. It followed me. I tried everything. Uninstalling Minecraft, deleting files, even wiping my entire drive. None of it mattered. Every time I reinstalled, the nameless server reappeared at the top of the list. It wasn't just a piece of code anymore. It was a parasite, and then the real bleed began. It started small. Random files appeared on my desktop. Images, text documents, sometimes audio clips. One folder was labeled with my own name. Inside were screenshots of me sitting at my desk from angles I couldn't explain, as if taken by a camera hidden in my own room. Another folder contained recordings of my voice, things I'd said days ago, muttered under my breath when I thought I was alone. The worst was when I found a new directory, Real World. The subfolders were places I recognized. My school, the park near my old house, my bedroom. Each folder had dozens of files inside, distorted photos, videos, even rough pixel maps. It was as though the server was remapping my life, block by block, and then came the People folder. Inside were names, friends, family, each with files, faces rendered in glitching Minecraft skins, twisted just enough to feel wrong. I opened one at random. It was my mother's. Her skin stared at me, eyes hollow, mouth a jagged hole. The file name read, Pending. That was when I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I dreamed in blocks. Forests, caves, oceans, all places I'd explored before. Only now they felt heavier, oppressive, like I wasn't exploring them but being consumed by them. I'd wake up gasping, only to hear the faint sound of footsteps on gravel fading into silence. One night, desperate, I tried smashing my hard drive. I took a hammer to it, shattered it into useless fragments. But when I turned my PC on, Minecraft was still there, still waiting, and it was changing. When I opened the game, I didn't even need to click join. The server auto-loaded, pulling me in whether I wanted it or not. The spawn was different every time, sometimes a forest, sometimes a village, sometimes a void. But always, it ended the same way. The whispers would start, the signs would appear, and eventually, I'd see that shifting player in the distance, the one that wasn't human. I started to notice something else. My real life was glitching. Lights flickered more often. My phone buzzed with calls from numbers that were just long strings of zeros. When I answered, all I heard was Minecraft ambience, cave noises, the sound of doors creaking open, and my reflection. God, my reflection. In the bathroom mirror, for just a split second, my eyes would look wrong, blocky, unnatural. When I blinked, they'd be normal again. But the image stayed burned into my brain. The final straw came when a new folder appeared on my desktop. It wasn't named after me. It was named after my address. Inside were hundreds of images. My house, my street, my window. Each one closer than the last, until the final file was a perfect screenshot of me, sitting at my desk in real time, my hands hovering uselessly over the... I slammed the laptop shut, heart racing so hard I thought it might kill me. But even with the screen closed, I could hear it. The faint hum of Minecraft's menu music, playing from nowhere, seeping into the walls. That's when I realized this wasn't just a game bleeding into reality. Reality was bleeding into it. The lines weren't blurred anymore. They were gone. And the server wasn't asking me to play, it was demanding it. I told myself I wouldn't log in again. I swore I wouldn't. But the server didn't leave me with a choice. That night, my laptop powered on by itself. The fan whirred, the screen glowed, and there it was. Minecraft, already open, the server highlighted in dull gray. My cursor moved without me touching the mouse, clicking join server. I didn't even fight it. I just sat there paralyzed, watching the game swallow me whole. The loading screen dragged on longer than usual. When the world finally rendered, I wasn't in a forest or a village. I was standing in a massive, endless field of obsidian. Above me stretched a black sky without stars, a void so empty it pressed on my chest. And in the distance I saw them, hundreds, maybe thousands of players. They weren't moving at first, just standing there in clusters. Then, as one, they turned. Their faces glitched between skins, fragments of code, pieces of people I recognized. A classmate I hadn't seen in years, a streamer who had vanished mid-broadcast, a stranger's profile picture I'd scrolled past once online. And in the crowd, faces I knew I should never have seen here. Friends, family, people who weren't supposed to be part of this at all. They began to speak. Not in chat, but in my headset. A cacophony of voices overlapping, begging, "Help us. Log out before it's too late. We can't leave." I wanted to disconnect, but the menu was gone. The escape key did nothing. My keyboard might as well have been stone. The crowd parted, and from the gap, it emerged. The player that wasn't human. The shifting skin, the hollow eyes like broken chunks. Only this time it wasn't flickering between forms. It had settled into one. Me, not my avatar. Not a corrupted skin. Me standing there in blocky form, staring through the screen with a hollow smile. The chat exploded. "Welcome to the permanent lobby." My stomach twisted. The voices grew louder, desperate, as if they knew what was coming. Some screamed warnings. Others begged for release. A few simply whispered my name, and then the crowd surged. They surrounded me, pressing in on all sides. Their avatars glitched and convulsed, hands clawing, dragging me toward the center where the figure, my figure, waited. My monitor flickered, static tearing through the world. For an instant, I wasn't looking at Minecraft anymore. I was looking at my own webcam feed, my pale face staring back at me, wide-eyed, breathless, and behind me, in the feed, I saw something move. The figure, standing in my room. I ripped the sticky note off my webcam, desperate to confirm, but the room was empty. My chest heaved. I looked back at the screen, and my Minecraft character was no longer in first person. I was watching myself from the outside now, trapped in the crowd, struggling uselessly as the mob closed in. One by one, the players began to vanish, disappearing into nothing, as though their data had been deleted. The whispers grew fainter with each disappearance, until only two remained, me and the figure. It stepped closer. "You've always been here. You just didn't remember." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My vision warped, pixelating, as though reality itself was being converted into blocks. My hands looked wrong. My reflection in the monitor wasn't flesh anymore. It was cubes, jagged and unnatural. The figure leaned close, its face identical to mine, and whispered, "Now you belong to us." The screen went black. For a long time, nothing happened. No sound, no light, just silence. I thought the game had crashed. I thought maybe, just maybe, it was over. Then the chat box appeared. Just one final message, "Connection complete," and my PC never turned off again. If you're still listening, you've already made a mistake. I shouldn't have told you this story. I shouldn't have left breadcrumbs. But once you've seen the cracks, you can't pretend the walls are solid anymore. Minecraft isn't just a game. It never was. It's a mask, thin, fragile, hiding something underneath that's been waiting for you. You think you're safe because you've only played normal servers. Because you've built castles with friends and fought ender dragons and laughed at pixelated sheep. That's the lie. That's the surface. Beneath it, there are servers you weren't meant to find. Servers that don't want to be found until they do. So if a blank entry ever appears at the top of your list, don't click it. Don't hover over it. Don't even acknowledge it. Pretend it isn't there, even when it's staring you in the face. Because the moment you join, it knows you. It maps you. It remembers you. And maybe it's already too late. Check your server list tonight. Go ahead. See if there's one you don't recognize. If there is, and you feel that itch of curiosity, that hunger to know what's on the other side, stop, walk away, close your laptop, or maybe you've already joined. Maybe you just don't remember. Maybe that flicker you saw in your reflection, that delayed Discord ping, that folder you didn't make, maybe those weren't accidents. Maybe they were the server, reminding you it's still here. So ask yourself, what's waiting for you the next time you log in? And if you see a server with no name, glowing faintly gray, do not click, unless you already have.